Four massive Cowboy stories are colliding at the exact same time, and honestly, this might be the wildest update we have covered in weeks. Your head coach just put a starter on blast in front of the media. Your rookie running back is dealing with an injury at the worst possible moment. And somewhere out in New England, there is a name so big it could completely reshape this Cowboys defense overnight. Stay with me through this whole video, because every single one of these stories matters, and you do not want to miss how they connect. Quick thing before we dive in, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next Cowboys update. Let us get right into it. Story number 1. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer basically called out starting right tackle Terrence Steele this week. When asked about the Cowboys shuffling their backup offensive line, specifically moving Nathan Thomas and Drew Shelton around, Schottenheimer did not hold back. He said these guys have to be able to swing between spots, and then he added that Steele has got to play more consistent. His exact words were that Steele has had a couple of days where he is dropping his pads and getting beat on the edge, and that he needs to be better. That is about as direct as a head coach gets about his own starter during training camp. Story number 2. Rookie running back Jaden Blue has missed the last 2 practice sessions with what the team is calling a shoulder bump and bruise. He did not play in the joint practice against the Saints, and he barely did anything on the field the following Monday. This matters a lot because Blue and fellow back Phil Marfa were supposed to be the ones locking down the RB2 job behind starter Javonte Williams. Instead, veteran Malik Davis has been the one making plays every time he gets a chance. On top of the injury, Blue's preseason performance so far has honestly been rough, though a lot of that falls on the offensive line, not just him. Story number 3. There is a real question mark hanging over the Cowboys' cornerback room right now. Darren Bland, Kobe Durant, and Siobhan Revel look like the 3 corners the coaching staff can count on. But behind them, Kylan Carson has struggled again this preseason, and 4th-round rookie Devin Moore is being given first-team representative specifically to see if he can become that trusted 4th outside corner. If he cannot, the Cowboys may need to go shopping on the trade market, with names like Christian Fulton of the Chiefs and Riley Moss of the Broncos floating around as possibilities. And story number 4, the biggest one. There is growing fan speculation, not actual reported rumors, about the Cowboys making a run at New England Patriots star cornerback Christian Gonzalez. He is one of the best young corners in the entire NFL, and adding him would instantly fix Dallas's secondary. The problem is money. Gonzalez is expected to command at least $34 million a year on his next contract, and Dallas is already paying a similar number to Raiders pass rusher Max Crosby. Financially, it is an extremely tough ask, even before you get into what a trade package would cost. So that is the full picture: 4 stories, 1 Cowboys team, and a training camp that suddenly feels a lot more dramatic than anyone expected. Now here is a question worth sitting with for a second. If you are Brian Schottenheimer, and you know your starting right tackle has real limitations, how honest are you allowed to be about it in public before it starts messing with that player's head? That is not an easy line to walk, and Schottenheimer just tested it. Let us go back and dig deeper into each one of these, starting with Terrence Steele. I do not think Schottenheimer's comments mean Steele's job is suddenly in danger. What is actually happening is simpler than that. Nathan Thomas and Drew Shelton, the 2 guys competing to be Steele's primary backups, have not been good enough this camp to force any real quarterback controversy at the tackle spot. Shelton actually got some early praise from Schottenheimer back at the start of camp, and looking back, that might have just been a coach trying to build up a young player's confidence rather than a real evaluation, because Shelton has looked shaky since. As for Steele himself, we already know what he is. He is a solid, physical run blocker who struggles in pass protection. That has been true for a while now, injury or no injury. Watching Rashawn Gary and Malachi Lawrence tee off on the Saints' backup tackles this week probably made a lot of fans feel a little better about how Steele has handled himself by comparison. Here is the flip side nobody talks about enough. If Terrence Steele is genuinely your 5th best offensive lineman on this roster, that is actually a really encouraging sign, because it likely means Tyler Guyton and the rest of that offensive line group are playing well above expectations. But if Steele turns into a liability instead, that one weak link can sink an entire offense, no matter how good everybody else around him is playing. Offensive line is one of those units where one bad piece breaks the whole machine, the same way one leaky pipe can flood an entire house. So no, this is not a 5-alarm fire. It is a coach being honest and pushing a veteran to be better. But it is absolutely something to track as camp rolls forward. Now to Jaden Blue, and this is the story with the most layers. Let us walk through exactly what went wrong on the ground for Dallas, because it explains a lot about why Blue has not locked down that RB2 job yet. On one run, tight end Luke Schoonmaker got stood straight up at the line and blew up the whole play by himself, turning what should have been a solid gain into just 2 yards. On another play, 2 Cowboys tight ends ended up flat on the ground, including DJ Rogers, and that killed any chance of positive yardage even though the offensive line actually created a good push up front. On a different run, Blue tried to squeeze through a gap between the guards, but the hole collapsed because the center himself could not get through, and the linebacker was sitting right there waiting. One of the worst plays came when Drew Shelton, who was supposed to be at right tackle, got completely blown backward into the tight end, and Blue had no choice but to try to outrun the defense because the whole timing of the play fell apart. That one is squarely on Shelton. Another run saw Nathan Thomas miss his assignment entirely, forcing another lineman to bail him out instead of climbing to the second level, which let the linebacker fly in untouched. There was also a play that looked like it was designed to be a read option, where the front side blocking completely broke down, with multiple linemen on the ground and a defensive tackle shedding a block before Dallas could even get moving. Not every failed run was the offensive line's fault though. On one draw play, Seattle's defensive front just made a smart, disciplined read and stayed home instead of crashing upfield, which limited the gain no matter what Blue tried to do. And to be fair, there was one clean success in there too, a 3rd and 1 conversion where nobody got through to the second level cleanly, giving Blue a lane to move the chains. Put it all together, and the story is not really about Jaden Blue's talent. It is about an offensive line that has not consistently given him anywhere to go. Still, with the shoulder injury now in the mix, the door is wide open for Malik Davis or Phil Marfa to make a real push for that RB2 role, and it raises a real question about whether Dallas should go outside the building for reinforcements. A few teams stand out as possible trade partners here. The Arizona Cardinals have both Trey Benson and James Conner dealing with health uncertainty, and rookie Jeremiah Love is also banged up, which could make one of their backs available. The New York Giants just added Najee Harris while still rostering Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary, meaning one of those backs could be squeezed out of the picture entirely. And in Pittsburgh, rookie Caleb Johnson has reportedly fallen out of favor, which could put him on the trade block for a relatively cheap price. None of this needs to be a blockbuster. We are talking about a late-round pick type of move, but it is worth watching closely, especially if starter Javonte Williams were to ever go down. That is really the scenario everyone should be thinking about. Do the Cowboys wait and hope their in-house options develop, or do they get ahead of a worst-case scenario now while cheaper depth pieces are still available? Here is your question of the day, and I want a real answer in the comments below. Should the Cowboys go out right now and trade for a proven veteran running back, even with Javonte Williams healthy, just as pure insurance? Or is that a panic move that wastes a valuable asset on a position that already has bodies in the building? Comment below and tell me exactly why you land where you land. Now let us dig into the cornerback situation, because this one might be the most important defensive question of the entire camp. Dallas feels good, reasonably good anyway, about Darren Bland, Kobe Durant, and Siobhan Revel as 3 playable outside corners. The problem is that leaves the room thin behind them. Kylen Carson has struggled again this preseason, and there are real questions about whether he is simply not built for these bright lights, at least not yet. That is why all the buzz around rookie Devin Moore getting extended first-team representatives matters so much. If Moore can prove he is capable of being that trusted 4th outside corner, this entire conversation calms down immediately, and Dallas can feel confident about its depth heading into the regular season. If he cannot, the alarm bells start ringing, because we all remember what happened last year when the cornerback room got absolutely decimated by injuries and the Cowboys were left scrambling. History has a way of repeating itself at this position for Dallas, and that memory is clearly shaping how the front office is thinking about depth right now. 2 names being floated as outside trade possibilities are Christian Fulton of the Chiefs and Riley Moss of the Broncos. Neither is a perfect fit on paper. Moss is currently a starter in Denver, so trading for him would mean displacing someone, and it is not clear who that would even be with Dallas fully committed to playing Bland regardless. Fulton, meanwhile, is due $10 million in cash if he hits free agency, which complicates any pursuit from a cost standpoint. Finding a starting caliber corner on the trade market is usually the easy part. Teams always seem to have one or two available. Finding a legitimate second-string outside corner who can actually hold up is a much harder puzzle to solve, and that is exactly the spot Dallas finds itself in right now. And finally, the Christian Gonzalez conversation, because this is the one that gets Cowboys fans daydreaming the hardest. Let us be crystal clear about what this actually is right now. There is no reported trade rumor here. This is fan speculation and sports talk projection, nothing official from either side. But it is easy to understand why the idea took off the moment people started floating it. Gonzalez is a legitimately elite player who would fix Dallas's cornerback questions in an instant. No more wondering about depth, no more hoping a rookie develops fast enough. The financial reality is brutal though. Gonzalez is expected to command at least $34 million annually on a new deal, and Dallas would be taking on every dollar of that number themselves in a trade, similar to how the Raiders structured things with Max Crosby. As for what it would actually cost in draft capital, most reasonable estimates put the ask somewhere above what Kansas City gave up to land Trent McDuffie, but a bit below what it took for the Los Angeles Rams to originally acquire Jalen Ramsey. On top of the money and the draft capital, there is a basic logic problem. Why would the Patriots, a team clearly trying to build around a talented young roster, willingly trade away one of their best defensive players? Frankly, it would be a questionable decision on their part if they did it. Would Cowboys fans love to see Christian Gonzalez in a Dallas uniform? Without a doubt. Would it be shocking if the Cowboys front office made a call just to gauge the price? Not really. Teams check in on star players all the time. But is this move likely or close to happening anytime soon? Realistically, no, and Cowboys fans should probably keep their expectations in check on this one, as fun as the idea is to think about. So there you have it, 4 stories, 1 wild week of Cowboys camp. A head coach willing to call out his own starter in public. A rookie running back whose injury just cracked the door open for a real position battle. A cornerback room with real questions about depth behind its top 3. And a dream scenario at cornerback that probably stays a dream, at least for now. Drop your take on all 4 of these stories in the comments, and make sure you are subscribed so you catch every single update as this Cowboys camp story continues to unfold.